Okay, so we were talking about the writing module. So, in part one, in task one, you have to interpret any kind of graph or any chart. Okay, and in part two,
Okay.
task two, you have to write an essay. So, I will tell you what type of tasks are
We-
there in part one. Yeah.
yeah. मैम स्क्रीन ही शेयर हो रही यस मैम
Okay, so we were talking about this academic writing. So in part one, let me show you what kind of questions come in task one, okay, of writing.
ओके
These
मैम
are the questions that come, like it can be a pie chart, bar graph, table, map, or it can be a process chart, line graph, or multiple graphs. Multiple graphs means that on any two can come together. Okay, and you are supposed to
ओके
write 150 words. Okay, it will be in the form of a diagram, and you're supposed to write it within 15 to 20 minutes, and the time period is
ओके
the word limit is 150 words, so don't exceed 165. Okay, is that
ओके
clear?
मैम डन
Okay, all right.
यस मैम डन
Now let's move to task 2. This is about task 1. After this you have to write task 2. In task 2 you have to write an essay. In task 2 you have to write an essay, and the essays are of five different types. They are opinion essay, discussion essay, we have problem and solution essay or cause and solution essay, then we have advantage disadvantage essay, and we have double question essay. So only one essay will come, okay, and you are supposed to write 250 words on that. Okay, so just don't exceed
ओके
265, and this will only come with practice. So just imagine that within 1 hour you have to write 150 plus 250, that makes 400 words. Okay, and that only comes with practice, not just 400,
ओके
400 plus. If you manage the time, then it's easy, it's not difficult. Okay, so by reading the question
ओके मैम
statement, there will be
ओके
no choice, neither in part 1 nor in part 2. So you have to read the question statement and you have to identify which type of question is this, which type of essay is this, and you have to write according to that structure. Okay, there are different structures for these essays, so you have to write them according to the type of the essay. Okay, all right.
ओके
Any confusion
ओके
with
मैम
writing?
नो मैम
Okay, now let's start let's talk about speaking test. Now, speaking is on a different day. It's not on the same day. It can be on the same day, but at a different time. Okay, and the center is also different. Or maybe it can be sometimes the same, but it is entirely different. Okay, like your listening, reading, writing will be in one sitting, and this will be a separate one. Okay, so this is the shortest part. Here, the time allowed is just 10 to 15 minutes, and the procedure is that it is one-on-one interview with the examiner, and sometimes it's also on a video call. So this you will get to know when you will book the exam. Okay,
ओके
now what is the structure? It has three parts. Okay, in speaking test we have three parts actually, and what happens in those three parts? In part one, examiner will ask you different questions, like 4 to 5 different questions. They are all from your general life. There is nothing related to academic or anything. They are general life questions on general topics. Okay.
ओके
He might ask you, talk about the area that you live in, what kind of facilities does it have, what do you do in your leisure time, what kind of celebrations do you like to take part in, or maybe what are your thoughts about travel and tourism, right? Simple questions will be there for which you have to give short one paragraph answers. That's it. Okay.
ओके
After that, in part two, examiner will give you a card. Okay. They are very famous. They are very
ओके
like commonly known as a Q card, and they are very famous in IELTS. Okay, and this is the longest part of
ओके
speaking
मैम
here. What will happen? A card will be given to you, an examiner will give you a pencil and a paper, and with that, he will allow you 1 minute. For 1 minute, what you have to do, you have to think about this card,
ओके
and you can take some notes on the paper. Okay, and you have only 1 minute to think. So I will show you a cue card as well. So what happens that a question will come up on the screen or maybe on the paper. A single question is there, and with that we have some sub questions. Okay. For example,
ओके
talk about the person that you like the most. Okay. For example, they are asking you about the
ओके
person. So This is a specific situation is given. This is something related directly to you, your experience. Okay, your like, your dislike. Then they will ask you who the person
Okay.
is,
Okay.
why do
Okay.
you admire the person, what is your relation with the person,
Okay.
or how you met the person, and
Okay.
explain why
Okay.
what are the qualities of the person that you admire. Okay, so these are all the WH questions with explanation related to this. Okay, and you will be given, like, this is a complete scenario that is given, and
Okay.
you have to talk on this topic for 2 minutes. Okay, you will be talking on this
Okay.
topic for 2 minutes.
Mhm.
And it's not difficult, it's just that you have to create a story, a wonderful story, and then you have to narrate it in the best possible way using some good vocabulary and using some formal language. Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay. Then after that, when 2 minutes are over, he will stop you himself, or you can stop on your own. After that, in part three, what will happen? A discussion will be there between you and the examiner. Now, part three is
Okay.
related to part two. Okay. Part two was
Okay.
specifically about you, right? That was specific. A topic is given and you have to talk. Part three is not specific, this is general. Okay. What will happen?
Okay.
Examiner will ask you some general questions related to part two. For example, if part two was about a person, examiner will ask you that why do people admire different people? Okay. What kind of people are being admired in your country? Then in the
Okay.
past, what kind of people were admired, and now what kind of people are being admired? Okay, what are the advantages of following someone on social media? Okay, something like that.
Okay.
Or he can make a comparison between the past or present, or present or future, or he might ask you some solutions to the problems that are arising due to this. Okay, so they will just be the
Okay.
general discussion questions. You and examiner will be discussing on the
Okay.
topic, but it is generic. Okay, it is a very short test. He just wants to
Okay.
see your grammar, your fluency, your pronunciation, your vocabulary, and of course, your body language. Okay, so
Okay.
he is assessing you on the basis of these
Okay,
things.
ma'am.
Any confusion?
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, now this is how a complete speaking test looks like. Okay, in part one, I told you first examiner will ask you your full name
Okay.
and he will check your ID and ask you where are you from, do you work or study. These are just common questions, and after that, he will ask you 3 to 4 generic questions on which you have to answer. Okay, then in part two, this is a cue card. Talk about a business person you
Mhm.
admire. Please say who or she is.
Okay.
Who is he or he is she? Then what does the person do, and why do you admire the person? Okay, so they are talking about a business person. You can talk about anyone. It's not that you have to give the true factual stories. You can like tell anything. Okay, whatever that comes in mind. It's not that you have to give the real answers, the true answers. Okay, you can talk about anything, anyone. See, part three questions are, what kind of businesses are popular? So this is directly related to part two, right? This is specific, but these are general questions. What businesses will young people do? When do people in your country retire? Things like that. Okay, so something related to part two. So this is
Okay.
about the speaking test. This is very short, very quick, and that's it. So if you have any question, please let me know.
No, ma'am. Thank you so much.